We'd like to welcome you back to Ingersoll District Collegiate and our training series here for Vcarve Pro. In this module, we're going to be adding some more skills as we look at how to pocket and create custom containers and trays. I've got some examples that are here, just organizers, making use of neat pieces of material that we have around the shop. So each one is designed around a specific piece of material. This one happens to be cherry, and just a twin pockets for me to keep as an organizer on my desk for miscellaneous things that we collect as we work through. I've got some trays that are here, a serving tray here with pockets for handles to be able to hold on to, as well as a sunken area. So when we're talking about pocketing, this is what we're referring to, is the ability to create a recessed surface. This one here happens to have a curve in the corner. Talk a little bit about that towards the end of the training module. And I've got another one sitting down here as well, which is a traditional candy dish kind of pocketed out. Now, my project for today focuses around another purpose. And again, it's making use of specific material. So I've got this nice piece here, and I want to make a kind of a bedside table organizer, something that I could set my phone in and be able to have it sit on my bedside table. So when I come home, put my keys in it, maybe some change if I have that, some pens and pencils, which I usually come home from school with, and maybe a spot for my wallet to sit up in the side here, and maybe a spot for a charge cable or something to sit. So I'm designing it around this piece of wood. So each one of these is going to be a unique and based on what you are going to do. So in the background here behind me is the reference picture of what we're going to try to do. So we want to turn this on the screen into that. And so I wanted to have you able to see this right from the beginning, because it will help you understand some of the things we're talking about. You'll notice that this area here that I'm going to do is an area that's actually got a bevel cut into there. We're going to use a 60-degree cutter because this area here is going to be used for a tray. Maybe some change will go in there, some pencils and my keys, and they come out of my pocket. Then I'm going to have a recess set up for my phone, a spot to hit my charger to plug in, and an extra cable sitting around, and then this area here maybe for my AirPods to be able to sit in there as a station, just to be able to sit as they charge overnight. So that's kind of the goal. The goal of the pocket for the phone is that it would hold my phone on a slight angle, so that if it's being used as I do for an alarm clock or something like that, I can see the time that's on there, and should be useful. Phone's going to sit on its side just so that the charge cable can hang out the side as it's sitting there. So that's our goal, and we're going to begin here with a brand new file. And I want to set this up to suit the material that I have. So as I click new here, you'll see that I've got my piece up there. And so I'm looking at a piece here that is 10.5 long. I'm going to hit the tab button and see it recalculate. So this isn't new. And 7.25. So you're going to get good at using your decimal equivalents as you design here. And the thickness of my piece is 1 5/16. So 1 point. You look at your chart here, but 3.125 is 5/16 of an inch. It's going to reference off the machine bed as normal with our X and Y datum in the bottom left. I'm going to click OK. And this has created here my piece for me to work with. So I'm just going to zoom here so we can see. As I do with most projects, I really find it helpful to have a boundary box. So I've chosen the rectangle tool and I've clicked in the corner. I'm going to drag this all the way out. I want to make sure that none of my cuts come within a distance of the edge of the piece. I think it will look good, and it also ensures that I don't hit anything as my piece goes around. So I've got my rectangle. You can see the pink line around here, and I'm going to offset either 1/2 inch or 0.75. I'm going to say that seems like a good one, and I'm going to go in. We'll stay at 0.75. Okay, so that just gives me a reference point, so I don't get too close, and it's going to have a nice even perimeter. So if you notice, even on this one that I've done here for my desk, it has a nice even perimeter around it, and it just helps with the balance and the look of it. And you can come closer to the edge, but the wood on the end grain portion is going to become somewhat fragile if you get too narrow. So I'm going to begin with something here for my pocket, for my pens and pencils and things that I'm taking out of my pocket. And I'm just going to drag a rectangle and use this block. And you'll notice a neat feature. You won't see underneath my yellow indicator there, but you'll see it actually snaps on. And so I can actually choose a size here. And so I'm going to choose as close as I can get to 2.5. And when I actually click over here now, it says that my box is 9 inches by 2.50625. So it's very close. but I'm over by 62,000. So I'm just going to zero that out, and that sets my size right on. And I'm just going to zoom in and make sure that it stayed on my border as it did. So I've got a nice pocket that's there, and I'm going to choose apply to that and close. So there's my first area that I'm going to clear out for a pocket for pens, pencils, and miscellaneous change that's in my pockets. I also need a spot here for my phone. So I'm going to, again, choose the rectangle tool. And I'm just going to start in this top corner just because it's easy to help me align. And I'm going to let go of that there. And I need to grab my phone and just double check its size. So my phone measures 5.5 with the case on. And its thickness is 3/8. So I'm going to go a little longer here. I'm going to go 5.75 and 0.5 in width and say apply. So I'll notice here that it didn't actually hit on the right spot with my border, but this is where the border becomes helpful, because if I close this, well, it's highlighted pink. I'm just using the arrow keys that are on my keyboard to move it around and bring it up to position. And so as you zoom in closer, it gives you a sense of how close you really are, and I can bring that right down until it's sitting within my boundary. So that's going to be the pocket for my phone. If you at any point forget what you've done or want to correct or change because you've got a change in your design, you can select the item, and remember, go back to your transform buttons, and you're able to select. And as I look at this, I see an actual error here as I've done mine. So I'm going to unclick my link X and Y, and I didn't get the length that I was looking for. So I'm looking for 5.75 by 0.5. That looks a little bit more like the shape that it should be. So we do want to trust our senses here as you're looking at things. Although we type in the numbers, I thought I'd hit the numbers right, but it just didn't look right as I looked at it. So trust your eyes and your sense as you look at things. If something doesn't look exactly right, it's worth checking and just verifying your numbers. So I've got that zoomed in, and I'm going to bring this down just visually about 3/4 of an inch away from that spot there. Okay. And I'm going to draw another one here and put it in close. And I've got it now drawn in there at 5.75. So I'm going to be typing 5.75 to change its size. And maybe we'll go 2 and see how that looks. So you can see I'm kind of on the big side there. So let's go down maybe 1.5. That looks good. And I'm going to apply that. And now select that and use my arrow keys to move that up. So there are a number of different methods here you can play around with to create the sizing of the boxes that you're looking for. But I think that's going to create a nice size pocket. And I want to just verify what my sizes are here. So I can use my measuring tool just to get a sense of what the distance is. And so in the case of this one, it's 6.718. And I'm going to do a measurement from here to here, and I am 5.84. And so I want to make sure that I'm reading these off correctly. So if you look, the line is actually on an angle. So the distance measurement is 5.84, but the actual movement in the y-axis is 5.76. So that's what the actual straight across measurement is. So I'm going to close this, and again, I'm just going to visually move these until they look reasonable. And that looks good to me. And then I'd like to add one more box in here because I need a sunken area for my AirPods to sit inside. So I'm going to just, again, just kind of eyeball there, giving myself an even amount all the way around, and close that. So there's my pockets. There's everything that I want to do. And we're going to now create the tool paths. And I showed you a picture of what this was going to look like right from the beginning, because it's important for you to have a sense of why I'm going to be doing some shuffling here, because there are a number of ways that we can run this, but we do want to use our machine time as wisely as possible to make sure we get as many projects on per class, and we don't want to be sitting there waiting for it to do needless tool changes and things as we move through. And so I'm just going to close myself here for my image, and we'll walk you through. I'm going to open up my tool menu and pin it, and we're going to work it through. My very first step here is I'm going to clean out my, which one? Let's do this one up here. We're going to open these up. I want these two pockets to be the same depth. So I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to choose the pocket feature. So pocketing toolpath, What this is going to do is clean it all out, so you can see in the area clearing a pocket that the router bit's going to go around and literally remove all the material, creating an opening for us. And so I'm going to go down and follow the questions. I'm 1.3125 thick, so I'm going to go in 1.0625, so that leaves a quarter of an inch of material at the bottom of my piece. And I'm going to have everything finished here with a 1/4 inch end mill, but it's going to be a lot of passes for it to go around. And so I'm going to turn on an area clearance tool, and I'm going to select the 1/2 inch tool because that will remove material fairly quickly. And I'm just going to go back there just for a second and look at its pass depth as to how much it can actually take out. So 0.4, it's moving out. That's a fairly heavy cut, and moving at 100 inches. So we're going to want to make sure this is held down well as that's moving through. But I think that's all right. We're going to leave that. And so it's going to do a 1/2 inch end mill to start, clean out most of the area, and then finish off the corners with a 1/4. And the reason we want to do that is it's going to make a very small radius here in the corners by running that smaller end mill. You can choose which direction you want to go. It can zigzag, zip back and forth, or we can do offset. This seems to create a nicer pattern. It's going to start in the middle and open this up and come around and do a finish pass. And we're going to have it conventional cut on this one, and we're going to ramp the moves as the piece comes in. So this means that, again, it's not going to go in straight. It's going to zigzag in as it's coming down. These are pretty small areas, so I won't be able to zigzag in that far. So we might say that we're just going to zigzag in over 1.5 inches, okay, as a smaller ramp, and we are ready to go. So we're going to preview this. Here's my pocket. It's going to switch to the 1/4 inch end mill and finish up. So I've got 2 pockets, again, one for my charger cables, one for my AirPods, and we're going to close this and go back to our 2D view and work on my phone piece. So I want to now clear this one out. I'm going to choose area pocket again, and in this case it's a small opening, so I don't need a roughing tool, but I do want to use the 1/4 inch end mill, and I'm going to look at my phone here and set a depth of about 0.5. We don't want to go too deep here with the phone, or else you won't be able to see the screen of your phone when it's sitting in the pocket. And so you don't want to go too far, but we want enough that it's going to go in and just kind of tip back against itself. We're going to do that same pocketing, and this one's a nice long run, so we could have the tool come in over a longer distance. So we're going to say calculate on that one, and we're going to do just that preview, just that path. So that's good. There's my pocket for my phone. Again, if you wish to, you can click all of them, just so that you're seeing as things go, as they go through, and that looks great. And our last one, this one is not going to be very deep because it's just for pencils and a pen and my keys and maybe some change if I pull that out. So I'm actually going to use the Vcarve function, and the reason I'm going to do this is because I want to have a angled corner. So you saw that in the illustration, and I'm going to go in on this one. Let's go 0.375, so 3/8 of an inch with a flat bottom. I'm going to select the 60-degree bit, should work, and I'm going to choose my area clearance tools. These are pretty typical, so your machine may pop up with them, but I want to clean it out first with the 1/2 inch end mill. Oh, I've selected it twice there. I'm going to remove. So I want the 1/2 inch end mill to come in first, and then I want to clean up with a 1/4, and then finish up with the V bit in there after that. And again, all of the other functions are here, and we're going to say calculate. So reset, and let's preview just that visible path. So we're going to clean out, rough out, and then come back through, and that's going to give me a nice pocket. Now I could just go to the machine right now, and we're going to slow this down a little bit just so you can see it, and we're going to preview. So a 1/2 inch end mill, 1/2 inch end mill, switch to a 1/4 inch end mill, 1/4 inch end mill, switch back to a 1/2 inch end mill, 1/4 inch end mill, V-bit. So when it comes to machine time, this is where you as the designer get some control. And you can see that I've got my phone base here. My organizer is ready. And so a neat feature that exists here is to put your cursor over top. And now my yellow indicator probably with the video is going to cover but it puts up a little box and it tells you what each step is going to do. So the first one, when I hold it up, says it's going to be a 1/2 inch end mill, then it's going to switch to a 1/4 inch end mill, then it's going to switch to a 1/4, 1/2, 1/4, and 60 degree. So what I want to do is organize these. I want to do all of the cuts that are needed with the 1/2 inch. I want to do them first. So I'm going to select this one and use these arrow keys and move it up. So now it's going to do the 1/2 inch clearance cut for the first piece, 1/2 inch clearance cuts for the second piece. And then if I collect on these ones, now I'm going to switch to a 1/4 inch cutter, 1/4 cutter, 1/4 cutter, and then finish up with the V. So if I go to my simulator now and I watch this in the same order, I should see my 1/2 inch end mill, should do the top pocket, the side pocket for my earbuds, then the opening up of the tray, then the 1/4 inch end mill on each of the openings, open up for my phone, finish my clearance cut, then switch over. So I'm going to have 3 tool changes, which is going to make it process much faster and allow that material to go through. The simulator feature, very, very nice feature here now in Vcarve that allows us to see the finished product and has us ready to go. We're now finished. We're ready for the machine to process. So we're going to follow our same process as we always do here at the school with creating our job sheet. And we're going to ask you to save that as your module number 4 and use your name so that we can find it. And you'll be able to open that up and have that on the screen so that I'm able to review the information about your cut. And here's where we're going to see those things all nicely in order. There's my 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, finishing with my 60 degree. Estimated machine time is 23 minutes. And again, at the end of your process, we can determine your actual machine time and run time per process. You'll scroll through that, and that will have us operational and ready. You're going to run and save all tool paths to your USB stick for loading on the machine. And one thing we want to be very careful of, again, please open up your material type and just verify your job size, that the piece that you've broken out is the appropriate size for the project. Lots of neat things we can still add to this. The one tray that I showed you has recessed holders for the bottom, and we're going to get into that with mirroring, where we machine on 2 sides of the part, and creating some other exciting options for you as you're learning your how to operate the CNC here at Ingersoll District Collegiate. So have fun with this and good luck, and we look forward to seeing the incredible things that you create using this tutorial.